Welcome to the Tech Savvy Professor podcast, which features two faculty members who love tech and love making it a part of their work. I'm Marty from Kent State University.
And I'm Eric Perry from Kaiser University.
So, Eric, today we talk about tablets, and we didn't even discuss this as what topic should we do. I just threw it out there because last week was the big Apple iPad release, and I got new iPads. So I thought, let's talk about how we use them in a teaching or learning or research place. So let's start with you. I'll fill folks in on my iPads and other tablets that I have, but let's start with you. What kind of tablet do you have? I think I know what your answer is going to be here, but remind me or refresh me.
So I have an S7 FE. It's a Samsung Galaxy tablet. I'll be honest, I've had a love-hate relationship with tablets over the years. I like to use them more for reading and entertainment than I do for anything productive. The S7 FE is a little bit older. It's a couple generations behind. The S9 is what's out now. So it's fun to use for like reading and entertainment, and it's easy to carry, but I haven't found a way to make it really productive as of yet. Mm-hmm. And truthfully, the kids steal it. So it's just getting a hold of it because they can play Roblox and access their apps on it, which I have to hunt it down when I want to use it because somebody's.
Yeah, I was going to say they never return it to where you left it last.
No, it's always dead. Always got to plug it back in for a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I had a son who took one of my laptops and did that. It wound up in his room. And then when I really wanted it, it was completely dead. And in fact, it didn't even start up. So it's one of my really, really old MacBooks. Yeah. So kids and technology, you got to lock it down. There should be laws that require parents to lock down their technology so the kids can't get to it.
Well, and I mean, digitally, they have, I monitor the content.
Yeah.
And they've had Fire tablets forever. And we love those. When they were younger, they had the kids version of the Amazon tablet. And I will give Amazon credit for this. They don't ask questions. So something breaks with those, you just call and they send us another one.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a question. So with the kids version, those were really, really useful for years and set up really well in terms of navigation and stuff for them. We do have an iPad mini. My wife uses that primarily, but we've had a lot of luck with the Fire tablets over the years for the kids. So they still do each have those, but they're kind of limited in terms of the apps that they can use there. So, that's why they end up stealing the Galaxy tab most of the time.
And before we get into talking about work uses, you reminded me of a few tablets that I have that I didn't remember that I had. I have a very, very old Amazon Fire tablet, and I fired it up, if you want to say that, after a couple of years of not use, trying to get into it, and then having a dog of a time trying to upgrade the software on it. And I don't think I actually achieved that, so I fired it back down. I have some other Android-based tablets, one that was suggested to me and I got it, and it came with a internet availability and cellular availability kind of free of charge. This was back quite a few days. So I got it. It was like a $60, $70 tablet, and it operated like a $60 or $70 tablet, but it did have that unique aspect of it was kind of a go anywhere kind of tablet. And occasionally I did fire that thing up. It was not recognizing any cellular like it used to. I think it was some agreement they had with T-Mobile. And so I haven't used that. I got back interested in this when I went through the valley of no iPads for a period of time, because I've mentioned on this show before, I sold back all of my iPads and got gift cards for them with the intent that the new iPad was going to come out the next week. Well, that was about 2 months ago. So I've been in the valley of no tablets. That's when I, on impulse, bought a Samsung Galaxy A9 Plus tablet. I said, I'm going to really get back in this Android system, and this will be my go-to tablet. It'll be my content reader. It'll be the thing that when I come downstairs in the morning and have a cup of coffee, it'll be sitting there waiting for me to read with. And it never made that leap. I got the whole thing set up. I found the fact that getting my email on it was really frustrating. So it lost that purpose. I mean, I could read Reddit on it and I could read, but most often I get up bleary eyed in the morning. I grab my cell phone and that comes down with me with my cup of coffee. And I'm again reading on a small screen. So so I don't get it. And it's sitting right here, all closed up. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. If I could sell it, I'd sell it back and get a buck 05 for it. But currently, and as of last week, I have a iPad M4 13-inch with Wi-Fi and cellular. And I decided to put the cellular investment in it for me because, at least in this iPad, because there's no sense in for me having a portable device that you can only have access to the internet in certain places. So if I take it on a trip with me and I stop at a way station and I can't get in, it doesn't solve a problem for me. So I went ahead and put the wireless in or the cellular in. If you've been following the iPads, they have two types of, well, the pros have an OLED screen. And so that's new. They actually have what is a double OLED. So the device has got an OLED screen with a second OLED screen on it, and they work in tandem together. What covers the screen can be just glass, or it can be this nanotechnology, which is meant to reduce glare. And so I got the nanotechnology, and then, the naysayers were saying, oh, now it's going to make your screen not as bright as it used to be. Well, turn up the brightness. And I haven't found that the case. In fact, for some groups, I don't put me under stress in near an Apple store because I enjoyed the speed of this new M4 iPad so much that the 13-inch is a nice big screen. I can potentially do things like audio editing on it using Ferrite and other programs that are out there. I can do video editing with Final Cut Pro. There's a lot that I can do on this. Whether it will actualize that way or whether I'll continue to do that on my home system for some of those bigger projects is yet to be determined. But then people started talking about the 11-inch M4, and it's been a stressful week. We talked about this before we started recording. And as I say, don't put me under stress near an Apple store. So I went and got an M4 11-inch. So I now have two iPads, and it's standard OLED screen. So I did an interesting experiment with them where I put them side by side, and I have these. I don't know what are those lamp? You might be able to. No, you can't see them, but they're those armature lamps.
Mhm.
It's desk lamps that you clamp on the side of a desk, and it sets lighting
Yeah, you can move it
around.
around.
You can move it around. And I put both of the iPads next to each other, turned on the screens, and put that lamp facing them. And you can see the reflection on one, and you can't see the reflection on the other. So the nanotechnology is meant for situations where it's bright and you want to reduce the reflection on your screens. It seems to work really well. And so I took a few photos of that and posted it to some of the groups I'm in to say I really don't notice the acuity differences between the two because of the nanotechnology or the brightness, but look at the difference that you see in reflectivity. So that's what I've got in terms of tablets now. Some that sit on my shelf that I turn on and off every once in a while to see if they're still working. This Samsung Galaxy that is, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but to work in two ecosystems is really a challenge.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
can be tough. And we do it here because everyone but me is on Apple. So
So how do you talk to each other digitally?
awkwardly, right? I mean, it'll work. It works, but
Everybody says use WhatsApp, which I use, but I can't get people who are invested in the Apple messaging system to use that, which would allow our Android relatives to communicate without trouble in terms of sending digital content. It's not the green bubble, blue bubble thing in so much as because only the Apple folks know what the green bubbles are. It's not perceived that way by the Android folks, but it's the content that can be transferred. But you're asking people to kind of shift to a whole new platform for messaging for a lot of them. So,
Videos and pictures. So coming through on an Android, everything's such low res,
right.
that we started using Facebook Messenger to send videos and pictures because it retains the quality there.
Yeah. And so does Facebook. They
Right.
retain
Sure.
they retain the
Yeah.
quality too. So anyway, that's my standard setup, or what my setup is now. How do you plan, or how have you used tablets at work?
I mean, primarily email, like you said, but it can be really frustrating, especially when uh, you have to constantly enter that company portal or whatever your authenticator app is. It can be really clunky on the tablets. I've actually had issues with it freezing up, having to remove the email account, put it back on. So, it almost took more time than was feasible to use it. I did a little bit of writing on it just because it was convenient to carry and take. But aside from that, I didn't use it for productivity really at all.
Hmm.
Scheduling was nice to have the calendar app that linked with kind of the family calendar that we use. But aside from that, really no productivity for me.
I thought, I'm going to do this experiment. I'm teaching this summer. I'm going on to campus for at least that twice a week. And I'm going to try and shift all of my work on campus to one of these two iPads. The big thing that I have to do with an iPad that requires me to interface with anything other than my own work and digitally is to teach and show PowerPoint or keynotes. The problem is not that the iPad can't handle that, or that it's difficult. It's that we have, in most of our classrooms, have a universal setup that satisfies nobody. So I had to look this up. We have a Belkin multi-port adapter that's connected into a button box where you can switch from one thing to another. It is, I call it the dreaded Hydra, the four-headed Hydra, because it is like that. It's a flat box with four different adapters coming out: HDMI, digital AV adapter, mini display port, USB-C. All of those come out of it, and you get to select the one that you're trying to plug into your device with. This has always been a problem, even connecting with laptops. So the bottleneck is, the university system and how to connect for teaching. I for months got frustrated with it, and I kind of don't want to be the tech guy that doesn't know how to do tech. So I tried to figure it out myself because it would never connect, and I would then relentlessly call somebody up from tech to come up and make it work. And I didn't even know what they were doing, nor did they communicate with me. And I don't think they knew what they were doing because they did the same things over and over again. And for some magical reason, it would connect. Then you go, okay, problem solved. But there was no logic to the problem until on the top part of this, where all the plugs come out, there's a little tiny reset button. And what I found was, every time you plug in a different device, you needed to press the reset button, and then it would recognize the device. But they didn't even know that. I wound up showing it to the tech people. I'm like, "Hey, do you realize this little button fixes the problem?" And they're like, "Oh." So unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be working with iPads. So I now have to either figure it out, go through non-linear way of thinking about setting this thing up, finding what the magic thing is that needs to happen, and then making it work. And part of that is like, screw it, I'll bring my laptop. I mean, I could put stuff on the internet and access my Gmail account in order to get it and then display it. But that means through, two-factor authentication, the whole process on a very slow computer, which is what they put as workstations, and then have it leaving that stuff on the computer that at the end of the class I have to go and clear my login stuff from. Otherwise, it's there. So I am still going to take it to meetings. I'm going to take it to travel. I'm going to try and substitute it for my laptop. But obviously, if I want to show something in class, I'm going to need to bring my laptop with me too. So that's I imagine days in the fall and the spring where I'm not teaching, or I'm teaching in the evening. I can take it to work, sit in meetings, do my notes, do my email, do the kinds of office work that you would do on a laptop with the iPad. The keyboard is absolutely amazing. It is they haven't done a lot of changing in it, but they've made it to where it's remarkable. And the pencil that comes with it, I'm not an artist, but it has the potential to be an external, almost like an external mouse. You point the pencil at something and click it. And as that API goes out to developers, they're going to probably add some of those functions in so it can be used that way.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. What kind of accessories do you use with it? I've had some really neat keyboard cases that I've bought for the Galaxy tablet. I've had two. None were brand names. They were just ones I wanted to try. One of them had a backlit keyboard, which I thought was really neat. Really great battery life, but sometimes the responsiveness on some of them wasn't great. It sounds like it's pretty seamless though on the iPad with the keyboard.
Yeah, you attach the keyboard. I mean, it magnetically attaches uh, the flap that is you can angle and then close down when you're done with it. And it's got three little connectors in the back of it, like little pin connectors that when you attach it, it hits those pin connectors and it's then seamless. It knows it's in that mode. And it's very responsive. The a touchpad larger and it also has haptic. So you can do more things with it, or the potential, again, when the API gets out to developers, is that you can click once or click harder and get different kinds of things coming up to make it a little bit more functional. So it's cool. It's expensive, damned
Yeah.
expensive. As you know, Apple products, people say are overpriced, but they work, you know.
I will say that the best tablet I've ever had, and I don't know if you call this somewhere in the middle, but my Surface I used for years. I got years of use out of that, switched to the Alienware laptop that I have now, but that's all I used.
Yeah.
Had about 3 or 4 good years out of it and really enjoyed it. Was always surprised by the responsiveness, but it's really expensive. It is higher end, especially if you want to build into it the type of RAM and processor speed that will keep it lively for a while.
Yeah, with the tech chat groups I'm with, the new Surface laptops or the new AI infused laptops, it's like Copilot Plus, whatever, have come out and they look impressive. It also looks like if you, like with a lot of laptops, if you want to do some high end work, you've got to pay more to get that to work with it. One of the standard jokes that someone has said in the groups was, "Oh, good, they're fast, maybe even faster than M4s, the new Apple M4s." And but they don't provide any benchmarks, they don't provide any tests on it. They just say that they are faster. And the comment someone said was, "Oh, good, they'll crash quicker that way." You know, the problem is it's still running on a Windows operating system. So that was their complaint or concern about it. So I don't know if we've helped folks with ways to use tablets at work. Primarily, I'm thinking of it as being if I know I'm going to be in meetings and I'm not going to be doing video editing at work, which I wouldn't do there anyways, this might be the option to go to. Battery life, it's new. I never understand people who have laptops that come into meetings and plug them in right away. It's not a laptop, it's a portable desktop because you have to plug it in. So the battery life on tablets is generally pretty good for the work that you're going to do on them. And there's with the keyboard, at least on the Apple side, has added a considerable amount of weight to the tablet. The tablet is much thinner now, so the tablet's lighter, and the keyboard's weight has gone down in terms of switching to aluminum. Still challenges it for like a MacBook Air or and still about equates with that weight. But it's a different platform. Anything else, Eric?
I was just looking to see if I built a new Surface, what it would cost me, and
Yeah.
it's up there. So 32 gigs of RAM, terabyte SSD, running an i7 is going to be about $2,400, which is a lot higher than it used to
Yeah.
be. And that's just the tablet itself, all the extra accessories, the keyboard, all of that. You'd probably be in 35 4,000 or so.
I have a Surface, and I think you didn't try to convince me, but I saw you using one. I'm like, this is interesting. So I went and got one. It might have been a Surface 2 or an older Surface, might have been a Surface 1 model, but I liked it. But again, I run into the same, less so with Android, but with Windows, trying to find something that I can use that's cross-platform and in terms of apps that I can pick up the same information. And Outlook is the son of the devil. That's all I'll say.
It's the bane of
Uh,
everyone's existence.
yeah.
It really is.
And so, yeah, I can always use Outlook, but it's the son of the devil. So let's call a wrap on this. Email us at the Pod Talk Network at gmail.com or call and leave a message at 330-333-1240. And we'll play your question in the podcast and try and get an answer for you. Our bumper music is from Philip Gross, Rast, from the Free Music Archive. Everything you need to know is at techsavvyprofessor.net. You can find us by searching Apple Podcasts for the Tech Savvy Professor. Look for us on Spotify, TuneIn, and other podcast services. Look for the other shows that we have, like Circular Firing Squad on podtalk.net. And if you're into Vision Pro or you want to know more about it, listen to Vision Profiles podcast that I produce with another Eric. That's it for today's show. Thanks for subscribing to the Tech Savvy Professor podcast.